Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use, tips a balance in favor of fair use. FBI investigating 2x2 religious sect operating in Bay Area following alleged child sex abuse. Of course. From Stephanie Sierra, dated June 14, 2024. They love their kids, don't they? 99% of the time it's men, too. You love those little children, don't you? We like knives, too. FBI investigating non-denominational Christian religious sect, 2x2s, operating in the Bay Area, after alleged child sex abuse. San Francisco KGO, the FBI is investigating a religious sect that's facing widespread allegations of child sex abuse. Isn't it funny how they always wait until it's widespread? Like they didn't know before, right? They're called the 2x2s, or church with no name. Like a horse with no name? You guys, does that mean like a horse with no name? Are they mocking us? And there's a following here in the Bay Area. 72 miles south of San Francisco, in a remote, isolated location of San Martin, a special meeting took place where a group of people preached their version of the gospel. It's a non-denominational Christian religious sect that's been around since late 1800s. It's been around 100 and some years, and they've been sexually abusing children ever since then. But nobody knew about it, right? It was founded by Scottish evangelist William Irvin. Historical records suggest it wasn't until the early 1900s the ministry set roots in the Bay Area. It's a very persuasive type of religion, said former member Michael Day. How would you describe this organization? ABC's Stephanie Sierra asked. They use fear and manipulation. Can't help but add in my 2 cents here. Like the last 5 years, making everyone afraid of this one thing that starts with a V, like the apocalypse, the pale horse, that they write songs about. They manipulate people in the fear of the Lord to control people, said Lynette Barrage Flanagan, another former member. They tell you we are the only true way. The 2x2s are often referred to today as the truth by its followers. According to the ministry's doctrine, this is the only way to find true salvation. Do you think they're being truthful? Sierra asked. No, they're not, said Flanagan, a former member who says some members of her family were victims of child sex abuse. It's a perfect environment for it, isn't it? Wonder what the LAPD thinks about that. I'm just broken. I could cry right now. It makes me sick. Yeah, it makes a lot of us sick. His type was small-frame brunette girls. Little girls. Isn't that sick? I don't even understand these diabolical, demonic men that like little girls. It's sick. Said another former member, Sherry Autry, who identifies as a survivor of child sex abuse. It's a great way for a person to identify, isn't it? Instead of what is given to you. In February, the FBI announced it was investigating the ministry and seeking victim information following allegations of child sexual abuse reported across the U.S. Victim advocacy organizations report allegations across the world. I'm going to click on this and see what organizations. You know, some of them are handlers, right? Okay, this one's called Advocates for the Truth. If they didn't talk to God's true people, his chosen people, they're going to hell. Audrey said she was told by members of the ministry. It was brainwashing from such an early age. What specifically do they do, Sierra asked. They make you scared. They make it a scary place to leave, said Flanagan. The way. The church generally operates inside the private homes of members where worship services are held on Wednesdays and Sundays. They go 2 by 2. That's where we get the name, said Cherie Kropp, a former member and author of a historical biography on the religious sect. Kropp explains the hierarchy. Overseers are the top, considered to be the church leadership. Below them are the ministers or workers, who travel in pairs of 2 men and 2 women, as they evangelize and preach to members. It's a pyramid. It must be a coinkydink, huh? Below them are elders and friends that make up the members of the congregation. Those are the real slaves. The preachers were to be celibate, Kropp said. Kind of like Catholic priests, huh? These ministers often live in members' homes for a period of time before moving to the next. And that's not a recipe for pedophilia, is it? According to the scripture, it's consistent, an hour to host them. Lynette and Laura Lee. I actually do remember workers if they stayed with us. They would stay in our room. Isn't that great, you guys? Just have strangers stay with your young children. No boundaries. They would stay in our room, said Lynette Barrage Flanagan, a former member who lives in Union City. She says her cousin, Laura Lee Brown, was sexually abused by another member at the age of 9 until she was 13. Stephanie, were the parents aware of this? Lynette, no. But I mean, come on, you guys. They're letting them sleep in the room with the kids? The fuck is wrong with people? Stephanie, was there an effort to report this abuse? Lynette, no. No. Stephanie, why do you think this is, or that is? Lynette, I think that they wanted to keep it a secret. Just like the JWs, just like the Latter-day of Saints, just like the Mormons, just like the Scientologists, just like the Catholic priests, just like the Vatican, just like the Boy Scouts, just like that football coach, what was his name, who abused all the little boys? Lynette, I think that they wanted to keep it a secret because I think that they believe if you tarnish their perfect way, the perfect will, that will look bad on them. Kind of like black PR, huh? Almost like these cults are written by the same rule books, isn't it? It must be a coincidence. Her cousin, Laura Lee, says it's been a nightmare ever since. This is my little foot in slippers showing a photographer of her alleged perpetrator. This was in the middle of the 3 years he was molesting me. Well, if he was doing more than that, that is rape. That's rape. Rape, rape. R-A-P-E, rape, rape, rape. Rhymes with grape. She said the photo was captured the night of his engagement to another woman. He would immediately go back to sexually interacting with me. You mean raping you? I gotta get a drink of coffee, you guys. Come on. They need to just say what it was. And where were the parents when all this was going on? Laura Lee said he would tell my father I need to go get more wood for the fire and would make sure I would go with him. Why would the father just let that happen? I mean, I know sometimes people are naive. Sometimes it's not that they really want that to happen to their child. But you've got to use common sense. Most women that are really have common sense and a good spidey sense will not let their children spend time with anyone. And you even got to side eye, you got to make sure your husband's good too. It's a fact. You have to. How many times would it happen, Sierra asked. It would happen about 2 times a week. That means rape. Or more, said Laura Lee, all around the truth meetings. Laura Lee says for 3 years she didn't understand what was happening to her. Until her 6th grade sex ed class, she was 13. I left the class and went outside, said Laura Lee, and it was the first time I realized what was happening to me. She says her parents were told at that time, but didn't believe her. See, parents knew then. I don't buy that for a minute. Anytime you see these parents are like, oh, we don't believe you. They know. Do not even get me started, bro. Don't get me started. Because any healthy parent, you guys know I can't say it on YouTube. I couldn't do school. I was out. I don't know how I got through that year, Laura Lee said. Laura Lee said she tried reporting it 4 years later. And obviously her father wasn't a real man. He wasn't a real man. And who knows, maybe he was doing it to other girls. You don't know. At 17, I told them again as if they never heard. That's a narcissist for you. It's a narcissist for you. Why do you think all these grown adults that were sexually abused and not believed by their parents are coming on YouTube and telling their stories? Excuse me. Lynette said it's a crooked culture that's been passed through generations. It's a little beyond crooked. There was some abuse of my mom, she said. Her father, he touched her inappropriately. It's called incest. It's called incest. It's called rape. It's called pedophilia. Let's just clear that one up. Sherry Autry, another former member who grew up in Visalia, south of Fresno, said her father was also a victim of abuse. Years later, Sherry Autry says she experienced it herself. That's terrible. But why wouldn't the father be even more vigilant to make sure his children didn't go through that? I'm sorry that he went through it. It's a pedophile haven, you guys. All these religions, pedophile haven. Is it any wonder that there's all this secrecy? My abuse started with a minister. There you go, Autry said. At the age of 13, she says a 28-year-old worker. Can't trust any of these people. By the name of Steve Rose, molested her throughout the duration of his 2-month visit to her home. It happened on a nightly basis, Autry said. It was regular. Sounds more like the R word to me. If you question him, try to report it, what would happen, Sierra asked. You would get gaslit profusely and accused of having a bad spirit. She has a bad spirit. Or the devil's getting into you. See how all these manipulators manipulate religion? Just so they can rape these little boys and little girls? Keep telling you guys, knives. How dare you question God, Autry said. In 1986, Autry wrote a high school research paper claiming that Rose repeatedly told her not to tell her parents. Of course. She says he promised her, if you ever get pregnant, then I'll marry you. Isn't that wonderful, you guys? Don't you guys wonder how many of these Scientology girls that are forced to get married, that's happening to them? I think it is. And nobody's speaking about it, but I think that's what's going on. Everyone in the church and public thought he was nice. Of course they did. That's what narcissists do. They're good at putting on a fake, false facade. just like a lot of our politicians. You think they're not doing this stuff? You should think again. That same year, Rose sent an apology letter to church leadership, where he stated they didn't have sex, as if this is okay, right? But admitted to kissing and touching Autry intimately. He wrote, "I did not intend to cover this up, but I did not know how to handle it, other than to leave the area and beg God to forgive me." Yeah, where he goes on to do it to more girls. You guys know that. You ever notice that the church officials never do anything? And then if you do have men that are stand-up protectors, or women, what do? What's it called when they throw them out of the church? I forgot what that's called. There's a name for it. Fast forward from 1986 to April of 2023. An email was sent to members about Rose stating another allegation was made from outside the state of Minnesota. Of course it was. Questions about accountability. The ABC 7 News tried contacting Rose to get further response, but never heard back. ABC's Kyra Phillips tracked him down in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Here's what he had to say. Can somebody clear this up, why they would even give a pedophile a platform? I'm confused, you guys. I'm confused that they would be getting any kind of statement from a pedophile. They're not like us. They're not equal. They're not anything. They're not like us. They're not like us. It was not a secret amongst leadership that he had molested me, said Autry. Birds of a feather, you guys. Every time I always say that. Autry says 6 years later, Rose was out of the ministry, but still leading meetings in his own home. She says she was horrified. Rose never faced criminal charges in this case, and likely never will. Isn't that great, you guys? I mean, we need to start saying, like, maybe in America, it's like pedophiles are us here. Pedophiles are us? According to the Tulare County District Attorney's Office, we know we can trust that. Can't wait to see them wiggle out of all this, because they always do. Prosecutors have meticulously reviewed reports and victim accounts in this case and have determined that any potential crime falls outside of California's statute of limitations. Why is it that when it comes to raping children, people always use the statute of limitations? I mean, I get it. That's, I guess, written into our laws. But if it comes to murder or other kind of assaults, you don't seem to get these responses. What's going on? Inquiring MF minds want to know. We spoke with legal expert and veteran criminal defense attorney Seth Chazen, who specializes in sex crime cases. Is this true, ABC 7? Stephanie Sierra asked. Yes, unfortunately, the charges can't be filed in this case due to the running of the statute of limitation, says Chazen. See, back in the old days, this is why it smells to high heaven. Back in the old days, you would have had police officers and detectives in that would be finding other crimes that these scumbags committed. That's what they'd be doing. Why is that they're not even trying? You think this is all that they do? Just to be clear, do either of these cases have any criminal recourse? Sierra asked. So he, of course, doesn't really answer the question. No charges were filed prior to the alleged victim's 40th birthday, Chazen said. Well, I mean, he does have a right to respond like this, but it's disgusting to me. And you guys all know that this bastard didn't stop doing it. So you know there's other little girls he's still doing it to. That's what bothers me. You know that the DA's office and all these people know that he's still doing it. That's what bothers me the most. The statute of limitations, according to a well-known anti-sexual violence organization, RAINN, only 7 states have eliminated the statute of limitations for all felony sex crimes. We should wonder why that is. California is not one of them, in part because certain felony sex offenses, like rape, still have a statute of limitations. Hold on. 7 states eliminated the statute of limitations for sex crimes: South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, West Virginia, Kentucky, Wyoming. I know something else happened in California. I just, off the top of my head, I can't think of what that was. We understand state lawmakers have attempted to change this, Sierra said. AB 2295 is simply saying there will be no statute of limitations for any child sexual assault, Chazen said. The bill is still moving through the state legislature. For now, the only law in the books is one that allows alleged victims who file a claim within 5 years or by age 40 to seek civil damages for childhood sexual assaults that occurred before 2024. What about the current ones? What about the children that are being raped right now? Inquiring minds want to know. I mean, we're still living in a country that idolizes men that were open pedophiles. Unfortunately, I can hear them on the radio in my kitchen. And both Sherry Autry and Laura Lee Brown say there was a sense of fear that prevented them from reporting their alleged abuse at the time. It was such symbolization of all the power and control. Do not tarnish the image of the organization, Autry said. Just like Scientology. I don't know how I went through that year, Laura Lee said. 2x2 worker responds. Decades later, it's unclear who exactly is to hold accountable, but we try to reach current local leadership representing the Bay Area congregation for further comment. We never heard back. They never do they? That's until we located Gary Paul. Oh, this should be great, you guys. Can't wait to hear what bullcrap this guy says. That's until we located Gary Paul, a veteran worker who's not tied to the Bay Area, but based in Washington State, North Idaho, and Alaska. He says he was not involved in Autry's or Laura Lee's case, but we spoke with him about the broader allegations facing the ministry. He recently visited the South Bay for what's called a special meeting. Huh. It's like that. Is that like the meeting that they had in Los Angeles not too long ago? And they closed it to the public, which I'm pretty sure is illegal. That's not allowed in America, but they did it because some Scientologist was whining. Special meeting like that? Must be some kind of trend. These meetings only happen on rare scheduled occasions, but they're difficult to track down as the schedules aren't posted publicly, and several were reportedly shut down following pressure from the federal investigation. After preaching Sunday service in San Martin, Paul agreed to speak with us virtually the following week. Stephanie, I've talked with numerous former members who say they have been sexually abused by ministers while they were staying in their home. They say the abuse was going on for years. What's your response after hearing that? You guys might as well take a Pepto-Bismol, because you know it's going to be a lie. Gary, listen to this, you guys. It's always the same story. Well, I never saw it. And knowing the church leadership, I find that very difficult to believe. What do you guys hear me say over and over? Birds of a feather. That's why I never bought any of what Rinder was talking about. I'm not saying Rinder was a pedophile, but I think Rinder knew a lot and he covered up a lot. And he was not a hero like everyone tries to make him. According to Advocates for the Truth, an organization dedicated to helping survivors across the world, there have been reports on more than 900 alleged perpetrators as of June 10th, 2024. Imagine this, you guys. 900 reports. and they're not doing anything. Janie's got a gun. That have been identified by a hotline worldwide. The nonprofit says there are more than 1,500 alleged victims and have reached out for help since its inception in March last year. Autry is the former president and co-founder of this organization. Stephanie, the FBI is now investigating your church. How do you feel about that? Here's the denier. You guys know birds of an MF feather, right? I don't think it's necessary, but they're doing it, so that's fine. You know, because he knows about the raping of the children, and he might be doing it. It's my opinion. I don't think they'll find anything they don't expect. What, you mean like raping children, Gary? Is that what you mean, Gary? You mean the raping of the children, right, Gary? Yeah, we're looking at you and all your buddies. You like that, don't you? We can't say what we like. Stephanie, and you don't think it's necessary? Why? Because I don't think there's a cult of people trying to hide things. The leadership is not super secret in trying to hide things. I don't know what they're after. Can you imagine? It's bad enough that this is going on, but they get the biggest imbecile that they can possibly find. He's probably a pedo himself. That's my opinion, Gary. Gary, I think you like children too. Stephanie, there are hundreds of alleged victims that have come out indicating they were abused at one point or another, many of whom have come out publicly to share their stories. Because the allegations were made, don't you think it's important an investigation is done to fully vet what happened? I suppose it would be, imbecile. But I mean, like, think about how Scientology and these other religions try to scream and holler that they've got what is that called? Arbitration? Which I don't even think arbitration was originally created for religions. Yeah, that's okay. We're raping little girls in here, but we'll handle it in our arbitration. You know, the same perpetrators that were raping the children, they'll be on the court. Yeah, that's how they handle it. After 57 years in the ministry, how many kids do you think he got? How many kids? 57 years? Paul says he never dealt with a child sexual assault case. Oh. Imagine the mindset of these evil, demonic, fake religious people. Nor received formal training on how to respond to such allegations until after the federal investigation began. This, you guys, is why we can't keep having all this freedom of religion bull crap. That's why. Because they keep using freedom of religion to rape children. That's what they're doing. My grandmother would roll in her grave if she knew this. I have a feeling my grandma probably was abused as well. Stephanie, just to be clear, is that training just voluntary or required now? You guys already know what the answer is, right? He's going to lie, though. He's going to gaslight. So let's see what he's going to say. He says voluntary. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Stephanie, don't you think it should be required? Gary, I think it should be voluntary. Yeah, because, you know, raping kids and all. Raping kids and all. We shouldn't be forced to do anything when we're raping children in here, you guys. Stephanie, would you consider this ministry to be secretive? What do I tell you guys about the secrets? You think they call them secret societies for nothing? All the blood sacrifice and the raping of the children and all the other things they do? But one of those who grew up in it disagree. Oh, he answers. I'm sorry, I didn't get the answer. He said, no, we're definitely not. I mean, they're They just lie straight to the camera, straight to the reporter, and they have no conscience whatsoever. Calling yourself religious. Okay, here's Michael Day. Handsome young man. Ex-member Michael Day says he experienced that firsthand. Is there a culture within this religious sect that encourages sweeping things under the rug? Sierra asked. Uncomfortable topics, yes, Day said. Day grew up in the religious sect with his cousin, John Vanderberg, a Hayward native. Hayward? It made me very, very sad, Day said. He was in a missionary trip to the Western Pacific. When he was coming back, the overseer told him that he couldn't be a worker anymore, so he was kicked out. You know why they do that, you guys? This happens in some of the Amish sects and a lot of these like cultish church groups. It's so sick, you guys. They see the young men as competition. There's no fatherly anything in these guys. They see the young boys as competition for the young girls. It makes me want to puke. So I always talk about the inversions, and a lot of people don't want to hear about the inversions. That's an inversion of what's natural, right there. It made me very, very sad, Day said. He was on a missionary trip. Okay, so then he got kicked out. Day says he was shocked. Vanderberg was like a brother to him. I've heard inappropriate touching of girls in the Philippines and in Mexico, but it's just hearsay, said Day. I'm always like a little sus when I hear people, especially a guy, say something like that. I don't trust it. How many victims did they say there were? 900 or something like that, or 900 perpetrators. 1,500 victims. But this guy is like, oh, what did he say? I heard inappropriate touching of girls. But yet now you got 1,500 victims. You guys do the math. Do the math. An email from a regional leader in the sex ministry reported Vanderberg was the subject of several credible allegations of unacceptable sexual behavior, including a complaint of inappropriate touching of a minor, which was reported to the authorities. Don't you guys wonder how many of these reports the authorities just, they don't even write things down? I feel really bad, especially if they feel violated, said Day. Day says he had 35 ministers or workers stay at his home growing up. One of them, who John knew and who stayed in our home, later came out as a convicted child molester, Day said. Another name for that is a pedophile. And he had been in our home. We couldn't believe it. Like, what world are these people living in? The rules. In the years that followed, Day says he grew out of the faith and was displeased with the hypocrisy. I would hear there are no rules. We have no rules. God's going to lay his faith in you, and you will know to do what's right. Day said, before shaking his head, yeah, there's rules. There's rules galore. Former members say the ministry frowned upon makeup, jewelry, other than a wedding ring, cutting your hair, adorning yourself, and expected women to wear conservative clothes, particularly dresses. Why is it that all the churches are always the same like that? You guys ever wonder that? Just like in the Muslim, in some of these Muslim countries, how they make the women wear the burqas and that. Why is it always the women are subjected to this? Made to be submissive. Master slave come to mind, you guys? Stephanie, what happened if you wear pants? Lynette, you would be looked at like, what are you wearing? Why are you wearing that? They would shun you. That was the word I was looking for earlier, shunning. We asked Gary Paul about that, but he denied any rules about makeup. You guys know they're doing that. Gary's a good liar. Stephanie, what about wearing pants to Sunday service? Gary, I don't feel that's very womanly. He's the expert on telling a woman what a woman should be as a woman. I bet he's fat and has no teeth. There are times when it's really not becoming or womanly to wear pants. Not womanly to wear pants nor go to college, according to Laura Lee Brown. Isn't that funny? Scientologists don't want the kids to go to school either. Must be a conspiracy. She says she wanted to be an attorney, but was told by the ministry, that's too worldly. We don't think you should do that. They don't want anyone to improve their lives or get smart or be able to be independent on their own. That's what they don't want. A religion with a strong set of rules that preaches they are destined to find the truth or the one true way, but questions linger as to who's really being honest. We were told that the way is perfect, but the people are not, said Lynette. But some former members argue the way is far from perfect, raising concerns about ministers having access to young children by moving from home to home. Exactly. There's no accountability when you go and try to talk to them. They refuse to try to talk to you about it. They just ignore you. They just deny it, said Lynette. We asked Gary Paul about that. You guys know just the little girls need to start fighting back, and so do the women. That's it. Stephanie, some former members believe there should be rules in place prohibiting ministers from staying in people's homes, arguing that will help protect innocent children from potentially being exposed to predatory behavior. Do you agree with that? No. You guys know he's doing it too. You guys know. Any man that would even answer no to that, you know he's doing it too. It's my opinion. Nowhere in the scripture supports that. Where in the scripture does it tell anyone to have your children in their bedrooms and have ministers going from home to home, sleeping with the children? I want to see that in the Bible. They be pedophiling up in here. And in the multitude of years that I've been in it, it's never been a problem. Boy, he just lies. Like I said, I bet you he's a little bit fat and is missing his teeth. Stephanie, how do you know it hasn't been a problem? Gary, well, it's never been a problem that I'm aware of. Obviously, it could have been, but I wasn't aware of it, and I never saw it. That's why, because he doesn't want to go to jail. Stephanie, just because you were aware of it, don't you see value in protecting future generations, given what has been publicly revealed? His vocabulary is not that great either. Gary, I don't think it would. I think it would affect the quality of our ministry. You know, the narcissistic. And the standard of the ministry, you know, all the pedophilia. That has been established from the New Testament days, you know, with the pedophilia. We've always stayed in the homes of God's people, being pedophiles. Staying in the home makes you very vulnerable to pedophiles. It's true that the children in the family home are vulnerable also to pedophiles. But that's the best way that this fellowship has been established, by pedophiles. I added all the pedophile stuff in there. Stephanie, from your perspective, what will it take to see real change from all of this? Like, why is she even asking this guy? Like, she should be interviewing the victims. This is what gets on my nerves. Well, I don't like the word change. Of course you don't. Got all that power, have the ability to rape all those children without going to jail. Because there's a lot of things about the fellowship, you know, the pedophile fellowship, that cannot change. You can't do that. You can't change our ability to rape children. I'm adding that in myself. Members of the ministry conflict with former members. Of course they do. Because those were the ones you were raping. Yet both are on missions to seek the truth. The question is, will it bring justice? It's the same. It's actually very similar to what goes on in the military when all the women get raped. Very similar. They don't know about it. They're not aware of it. Every time the woman goes to get her MST claim, everybody acts stupid and they deny it, which should be illegal. It's always the same stories with these people. The correctional officers raping the women in the prison, which I think takes it to a new level of sick. I don't know. It's just so... Those women are ruined for life. Some of these men, I think, should get the same back to them, to be honest with you. I believe that. Members of the ministry conflict. Okay, I already read that. Report to the FBI. Yeah, for whatever that's worth. The FBI Omaha Field Office is seeking the public's help, identifying victims or individuals with knowledge of abuse and or criminal behavior that has occurred within this religious group. What about statute of limitations? You going to scream that statute of limitations won't do anything? That nobody has any recourse? If you have any information about this ongoing investigation or believe your child or other children may have been victimized by people affiliated with 2x2, the FBA requests you fill out this questionnaire. To report directly to the hotline, call 402-493-8688. ABC7 worked in conjunction with ABC News and Nightline on this investigation. You can watch the full Impact by Nightline episode, Secrets of the 2x2 Church. Oh, and then that's on Hulu. I might watch that. So I will leave a link in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose. Otherwise, have an amazing day or night wherever you are. Peace.